Yeah.
Hi, Roger.
Yeah. Hi, Chakra. Probably this is our very first short chat show, right?
That's it. And a
Yes.
very good morning from Spirit Spiral Healing, from Chakra Incognita, from Roger Strings. This is
Yes.
our
A very good
second
morning.
round together. So this is the second edition of the Roger and Chakra show.
Yep.
So here we go.
And yeah.
Today,
And
Roger
we
is in
decided
charge.
to,
What did you decide?
yes.
Let's hear it.
Uh, I decided we decided to keep it short this time because we definitely love freewheeling a lot, but then again, this time let's keep it short and crisp because uh, there are a lot of kinds of people out there. Probably a lot of freewheeling is not that is not that appealing to a lot of people. But then again, we'll try to keep it
Well,
short
and
and we'll try to
I have to say
keep it
one
crisp.
thing, you
Yes.
can freewheel in the ocean, but the ocean,
Yes.
maybe we are not always in a mood to swim in the ocean.
Definitely.
And we can also freewheel in the pretty countryside pond.
Yeah, that's something we can do. Definitely.
And Zoom also likes to freewheel a lot with my videos.
So unpredictable, no?
Very unpredictable. So when life is unpredictable, and perhaps I run this kind of a service because life is unpredictable, and it helps us all to navigate better in these very unpredictable seas and skies
Definitely.
and earth,
Definitely.
seeing all the earthquakes that we are having now. So
Yeah.
here comes my face again. Shoot, Roger, it's over to you.
Yes. All right. So the people who know about you, who are aware about you, definitely know that um, you have your sessions and you call them Spirit Spiral Healing. And for the people who don't know, this is Chakra Incognita, aka Maya Lakshmi Rao, and though she doesn't like to be called that, but then again, we all call her a healer, and probably that's the way we should move forward. So I have prepared a few questions for you. Uh,
Feels like
And these are very basic questions. These are very basic questions. These are not, out of the world questions because I think for our very first short chat show, our audience should know what we are all about and how we are gonna branch out in our future chat shows, right? So, spirit spiral healing. I mean, what's the story behind the name? How did this name come into,
when you
you know?
say this, my head is spinning, my head is spiraling away. And what you call short and simple and sweet and all the rest of it is going to get my head freewheeling. So let me drive with at least um, let me drive in a lower gear, even though I don't may not drive with the brakes on, which I think sometimes I need to do. So let's look at the word spirit, where that came from. Well, the origin of this venture is rooted in something that came before it. It's all just I think it's part of my evolution as a person. And
Yes.
part of my evolution as a person is to have very quick reflexes and turn the video off when it shakes. So anyway, the thing is that I started something quite out of the blue, uh, called Chakratirtha Travels, which
Okay.
wasn't essentially, and it is on the 18th of this month. It's going to complete 11 years of existence. Where are we? 2023. So
Yes.
why I say 11 years of existence is people often ask me, I don't find you traveling. I don't find you taking anyone for travels. Then I lead them back to where it all started. It started as guided journeys into India's spirit.
Right.
So you can see it was a lot more formal when it started. It was essentially about guiding people through the vast physical as well as metaphorical, metaphysical landscape of India.
That's a different kind of travel we are talking about. I mean,
Exactly.
it's not a very conventional, just you go somewhere and click pictures and see the the hot spots in a certain destination. You don't do that
It
here.
was
You
absolutely
go
not that.
exactly. It's just the
And,
opposite of it.
and the interesting thing is that I was dealing, in the first instance, I collaborated. You see, I was working with an American professor. I
Okay.
was a consultant to Maine Maritime Academy as well as a religious, hold your breath, yes, religious seminary in Maine, USA.
Okay.
And these
Okay.
were among thought-wise the most amazingly liberal places I have seen. The person I connected with, Reverend Kim Rakes, a Christian pastor, ordained minister, brought me so much closer to India, to the spirit of India, than any Indian has ever done. And the most incredible part of it is that she understood me, she read me like an open book. And this is something that all my life, I was craving for this kind of understanding from someone who was, say, maybe my mother understood me. Maybe my father understood me to some extent. But this was one person who accepted me, unconditionally, and we got talking about a whole lot of things that were very close to both of us. And this venture evolved from there. So
Okay.
it was, as you say, a different kind of travel.
Yes.
So the first
So
months, we were traveling over Google Chat.
yes, definitely.
And the concept that we learn just by interacting online was something we had uncovered long before everybody was forced into their cages and told the only way you can interact is online. So I was pretty well geared up for this. And through this, we did several projects related to India. And these involved her traveling to India. This is how it all started.
Okay.
When she first connected with me, we connected essentially over something to do with healing. So you see,
Right.
when you look at this, you see that all the pieces of the puzzle were already there with me.
Yes, definitely. I mean,
Back in 2007, when I first connected with her, all the pieces of the puzzle were already in place. By the
right.
time she arrived in India in 2008 May, she came with her family because she became so emotionally and spiritually invested in India just through her connection with me. And I realized that there was a lot of potential for opening up this connection with many other people. And this is exactly how it happened with people in her college, her students. It
Okay.
transmitted itself this way. So it became a project. And
Okay.
we
Like
wrote
spiritual travels and
spiritual travels, because you see that word spirit and spiritual, they are
yes.
much misunderstood. And
Yes.
it is, we are spirit.
Yes,
And
definitely.
we are connected with these bodies in this lifetime.
Yes.
And that is something maybe people will tell me that, okay, that is your belief. But I think that's also a clearly observable fact. I mean, none of us are just our
Yes.
bodies. We are something beyond our bodies.
Yeah. I believe
We
so
are our
as well.
minds. So you
Yes.
see, from after several trips, several meetings with Kim Rakes, with her husband, with various other people who started coming from overseas, and not
Hmm.
only with their actual visits to India, but the conversations we had. And along the way, another person joined us, a lovely young artist from Delhi,
Okay.
who I met by sheer chance via his
Wow.
blog. He had this beautiful blog. And the kind of things we were talking about, Kim and I were talking about, suddenly a lot of light bulbs went off in both our heads. I saw the blog and I showed the blog to her. And then there was this very deep sense of, we have been here before. You know the song, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young? We
Yes.
have all been here before. And that was the feeling we got when we saw his blog. So we immediately connected
Ah.
with him. And like in 24 hours, there was this solid friendship. These are
And
very
this was
unusual.
all while traveling.
No, this was not while traveling. This is all
Okay.
our beloved internet.
Ah, okay.
She was sitting there in Maine, and I'm sitting here in 2011 in India, sitting here in my house, and I run into this blog.
Mm.
Because
Right.
I have a very restless mind, and
Yes.
I spend a lot of time online. I also, when I had more physical fitness, would spend a lot of time moving around just in my city.
Okay.
And I learned a lot from these. I've always done this, I've always liked to get down to the depths of people's lives, so to say. So I'm always
Right.
in this observer mode. And I observe. While I observe, I invest also, which means that as an observer, a part of me is observing, but a part of me also gets emotionally involved with whoever I am observing. And this is what tends to happen. And this is again what happened with the blog. I was
Okay.
immediately drawn in. This doesn't happen with every piece of writing or every blog or every piece of
No,
music
it's
you listen to,
a
but
few
then
pieces of art just, captures you.
and there was this
And that's
one
how it
piece of
works.
art I saw over there which just made
Hmm.
me stop in my tracks. And I felt that I had been there in that location. And that was
That's
not a
beautiful.
physical location.
You mean in that mental state or in that mental
It was
plane
a
of
location
existence?
from some other time zone, some other space, maybe the space
Okay.
of the imagination, but it was a space I had definitely inhabited. And when art does that to you, that means that
Yes.
the art has spoken very powerfully to you.
True.
And the
That is
artist,
true.
being 19 years old, made it very easy to connect with this artist. And within 6 months, this artist was part of our team.
Wow.
So
You mean
it is
Chakratirtha,
yes, travels.
your
It is
travel agency?
myself,
Yes.
Karan Bora, and Kim Rakes who somehow or
Mm-hmm.
other came together and decided, okay, we are doing this. We were in three different places, and it's
Okay.
not easy. But what makes it
Yes.
easy is that we were focused very much on doing things online. When it came to the nitty-gritties of travel, we always found a lot of constraints. And the biggest constraint that I found was the American time frames.
Yeah.
They are extremely, they get very little time off. They operate in a very structured way. And I have to
Yes.
say that in the course of my interactions with Kim over the years, she started unstructuring herself.
And that's something really beautiful,
And
no?
I think that unstructuring of the self was something that was always within her, because she was always a free thinker and a part of her was always freewheeling. And yet she was always bound by the constraints of day-to-day living, which is what bothers me too. And which is what bothers you. And we have spoken about it in earlier chats, living with these constraints. So I think
Yes.
our problem was, rather, our challenge was how to find a meeting ground. There are those rigid structures and there are those spaces between the structures. As far as
Right.
I am concerned, I have more flexibility in the structure. As far as she was concerned, she had very little flexibility because of the social system and professional system that she was tied to at that point.
Definitely.
So,
That
how
happens
could
a
we
lot.
make time and space stretch? What we are doing today, we are giving ourselves 15 minutes. I think we have consumed most of those 15 minutes already, thanks to me. And the point is, we decided, okay, we have to swim in the pond, and sometimes the pond has a fence around it. And sometimes these ponds, are managed by somebody, and that somebody says, okay, time's up, we are going to lock the gates to this pond. So we get that limited time, and that limited time is what? The airport check-in.
Yes.
Finally, all that swimming we wanted to do in the pond is constrained by the flight time of her outward flight. And believe
Right.
me, what she has done in sometimes a 10-day trip is unbelievable. You really won't believe the first time she came, what happened in the course of that 10-day trip.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is that, and this one is for all the Calcutta bashers, the place that she chose to come to and to stay in for 10 days and to fall in love with was this one.
Has to be.
And when people see my city through me, when they have come to see it through me, they see very different things from, what we people who are actually tired of our city, we see it differently. And I think we Bengalis get sick and tired of everything too fast. We are this strange paradox of, monumentally patient over the wrong things like our governments, and impatient over certain things that deserve our patience more. So I think we could really, so you see, like, we are self-sabotagers. Where did this healing come from? Self-sabotaging patterns. What needs healing? The self-sabotaging pattern.
The patterns.
Yes.
All right.
So you see,
So
have I covered which part of your question have I answered?
you have covered two questions basically. You have covered the
So then
name
you
Spirit
frame the
Spiral
questions
Healing.
now to fit the answer.
Two and a half questions
Okay,
to be
so
very honest.
I think for our audience, you can state the questions.
The questions were the first question was the name Spirit Spiral Healing, and I think you specified uh, how this came into you were already healing at first through traveling and then through talking to people and doing sessions with people uh, and analyzing their minds. That's what it has come to from the healing, the spiritual travels. And the next thing was, when did it start? So yep, you said when it started. The next thing was, what's the story behind Chakra Incognita? Now, yes, I get it that it was the name of the Chakratirtha travels. That's where the name came from.
Yes.
When did you start associating yourself with this name?
Okay. The name itself. See, I have had the pen name Incognita for a very long time.
Okay.
Ever since I started writing on the internet, I've had this pen name Incognita. And the
Okay.
funny thing
Okay.
is that I had there were message boards were very popular back in the day.
All right.
And I ran a message board of my own. It was a very small thing. Initially, it started, I didn't know what to name it because I really didn't know what its purpose was. So I named it Terra Incognita.
Okay.
And I became the incognita of the Terra Incognita. So Incognita stuck as my pen name, right?
Okay. Okay.
So, and
That's a
it would
nice
be too
thing.
much to go into that backstory now because finally, if we rewind the tape so much, I'm going to end up with the day I was born. So, we don't want to go that far back. But the point is that that's where Incognita came from.
Okay.
And Chakra Incognita just came because I opened a Facebook account, which was a work account, which I wanted
Okay.
to associate with the Facebook page. I created it to be the admin of the Facebook page, which was called Chakratirtha Travels. Their
Okay.
journeys into India's spirit. If you look at my blog, it is still
Mm-hmm.
called Chakratirtha Travels. That is
Right.
historical. I don't update that blog often, but I've kept it in its original form for historical purposes. But later, I realized that we were evolving and growing. For one thing, it was becoming increasingly impractical for people in three different places to coordinate any kind of travel as a team for people coming in
Yes.
from outside. So,
Yes.
what happened is that this thing naturally evolved into my going solo, and uh, my territory also started, in a sense, my geographical territory started shrinking, but my mind space
Hmm.
started expanding. So, a little before this lockdown came upon us, I actually had a few clients lined up for coming. And at that
Okay.
point of time, I had decided that as somebody, as a solo travel partner, it would be easy for me just to cover a certain segment of Eastern India, where
Okay.
the logistics and the planning, they are not big. And again,
Right.
if I don't have um, if I don't have an associated project, like when Kim would come, there would always be an associated research project on Kim's part. And she would try to involve people from our side, from the country. So you will notice that I have often talked about our Team Chakra members. There were a lot of young
Yes.
people who joined us on the projects.
Ah. Yeah.
Nipun Srivastava, Kunal Kohli. These are people who have stayed on in my life, and they are still part of Team Chakra, so to say, because Team Chakra is now an identity, and it may have nothing to do with anybody coming from abroad to travel in the country. So you see,
So
which and
Chakratirtha isn't taking people on spiritual travels anymore.
Chakratirtha is happy to take people on spiritual travels as part of spirit spiral healing.
Oh, right.
So basically, Chakra Incognita is
Mm-hmm.
extending Chakratirtha travels, or rather, I should say that the two ventures over time naturally came to be merged. Or I should say that spirit spiral healing actually evolved out of this. And the word healing was given to me because I was looking for, I was looking for work. Let's say we were all out of work thanks to the pandemic. And I was looking for work. I mean, those who had their jobs and kept their jobs, God bless them. But I was
Definitely.
relying on, I had just about altered Chakratirtha travels into something called Chakratirtha journeys.
Right.
And it was simply Chakratirtha, Journeys into Place, Mind and Spirit. So I removed the borders of India from it. So you see,
That's
this
beautiful.
becomes two-way. You're traveling into my space, I'm traveling into yours.
Definitely. So the travel still goes on.
Place, mind, and spirit. Now you see where that
Absolutely.
takes you.
Yes.
Now do you see where spirit spiral healing came from? Now I have to
Yes.
explain to you what spiral is, because people
Right.
will ask. You see, Chakratirtha travels because there were three of us, and we were from three different backgrounds, and we had our own distinct aspirations in life. You know, we had our own professions. I basically wanted to be a writer. I had books I was working on, and I'm still working on them.
Right.
So it's like he is an artist and a designer, and she is a professor, and she quit being a pastor because she found it too limiting to narrow herself to the confines of one belief system.
Right.
You see, she unlocked her full potential and said she could not do justice to that,
Yep.
to those restrictions. And so she is what I would call now a freewheeling pastor. If she's called
Okay.
upon, to perform a marriage or something, she will. But then she has also the freedom to design it in her own way.
Definitely. Definitely.
So a lot of things have changed in all our lives, and when we came together, we somehow or other were fascinated by Kim. Is somebody who is very interested in Celtic lore. Kim makes an annual pilgrimage to Ireland,
Ah.
and you will
Okay.
find a lot of things on my in my posts which are about spirals. You will notice, and
Yes.
there's one. If you see the logo of Chakratirtha Travels, it is the triple spiral. You will see that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the triple spiral is where the spiral part of spirit spiral healing came,
Okay.
because
Okay.
a friend of mine called Nilima, when I celebrated our birthday back in 2021, when we were 9 years old, the birthday of Chakratirtha, which had been redesignated Chakratirtha Journeys into Place, Mind and Spirit. And at
Right.
that point, she wished us a happy birthday and spoke about spirit spiral. She wished the spirit spiral. You see, the
Okay.
journeys into place, mind, and spirit. I said happy
Yes.
birthday to the spirit, to the triple spiral. And she changed that into the spirit spiral.
Spirit
And
spiral.
right then, I had been asking for this, tell me, I had put up this question, half jokingly on Facebook, asking people to tell me what they think my profession should be, a new profession for me. And there were two people who said healer.
Okay.
The first answers were from people who said healer. One of them was this Nilima. The other is somebody we all know very well who is very shy. So I will not mention his name.
Okay.
And he's also a well acclaimed artist.
Okay.
So the word healer came from there. And
Uh,
I said, well, that's a bit of a stretch. And Zoom is giving us 1 minute. So
yes.
I think we will honorably end this and come back again.
Yes.
And I will